should now be broadcasting. This is the latest session of our Heart of Darkness Edge of the Empire campaign, during which our collection of motley ne'er-do-wells have decided to head back to Coles 2 after all of the various chaos they caused at their last destination, including basically breaking into a sort of high-tech algae farm, having a shootout there, stealing loads of stuff and escaping, and various other bits of tomfoolery. They decided to head back to Coles 2. It's another ocean world that they'd visited previously. Well, Crude and Yato had visited previously, and they believe that this is possibly where the original shipment of untraceable blaster rifles that are on board their YT-1300, the Night Dragon, may have originated from. And there are rumours that there's a small rebel weapons factory hidden somewhere on the planet. So without further ado, I'm going to ask our players to introduce themselves and say a little bit about their characters and what their characters are feeling at this present time. So first of all, we'll go with Jason.
Yes, my name is Jason. I'm playing Crude Bosmore, who is the proud owner of a small Lothcat, and, well, more to the point, also a rather large YT 1300. Basically, Crude is feeling anticipatory returning back to this planet after leaving it in a bit of a state in terms of their notoriety in general. But he is also concerned about getting more work, which we obviously need. So he's willing to go for it.
Okay, thank you very much. And next we move on to Becky.
Hi, I'm Becky Rose. Today I'm playing Ms. Grippy Cowd. I'm very well educated to the extent that I occasionally use long words like long, which is a very long word. Well, no, it's just long. I am a Twi'lek who used to work for the rebels. Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you very much. And last but by no means least, we have Johannes.
Right, so I'm Johannes, and I'm playing Yatu Deng, who is a young Maryland would-be gangster type figure roaming around the Castola sector, looking to make it big, make a name for himself in the underworld. He's shallow, he likes fame and money, and currently he's on top of the world because we are riding on a fairly large pile of credits and a sizable inventory that has yet to be sold. So Yatu is in a very celebratory mood, feeling very confident about himself and the crew because we pulled off some real good moves last time.
Indeed you did. And just to recap for anyone who's watching, who is the keeper of the inventory and what does your inventory currently contain?
That would probably be me.
I would say so, yes.
Right, so in the inventory, well, first of all, we still have the majority of the credits from the first blaster sale, so there's that. And then we have 3 algae vats and 2 chemical agents, which I don't recall the specifics of, but is related to the creation of the algae, or I suppose they made the algae special in some way. And then we have
indeed all that had been established last time was that this chemical may potentially be harvested from the oak-backed ice worms, and that it was somehow being used in some bizarre, almost alchemical sort of process that increased the growth yield of this algae harvest somehow.
Yeah. So we have 2 containers of that agent, and then 3 speeder bikes that we have stolen from various planets.
Indeed. Okay, so as you guys leave hyperspace, you've all had a chance to heal whatever wounds you've taken, because it would have taken you several days in hyperspace to get to the Coles system. As you emerge in the orbit of Coles 2, you can see this serene ocean world spreading out below the hull of the Night Dragon. You know that there are a number of settlements on coals. Most of them are built on these sort of like large platforms that extend above the deep cerulean blue waters of the planet. Now, if any of you wish to, you can make knowledge rolls to see if there's anything particular you know about the planet before you arrive. Obviously, which I'm reasonably flexible about which knowledge rolls you wish to use, but that will obviously colour what sort of information you get.
Yeah, I'd go for Underworld to probably to figure out where would be the best place to go for Underworld type business, so we don't exactly land on top of an Imperial like staging area.
Okay, that's fine. So Yatu, if you want to make me an Underworld roll, it's difficulty of 2 purple.
Well,
Ew.
Okay, stunning first roll of the game, to be perfectly honest. It's a triumph there. So as I like to do with a triumph, what I tend to do is I tend to effectively just turn the narration over to the player who's rolled it, to allow you to have a chance to sort of like put your stamp on the story effectively. So Yatu, what is one thing or a sort of small group of related things that you know that is absolutely true about the underworld of this planet?
there's a hangar in unless you have different specific plans for it. I'm looking at the map here. I'm thinking Coral City has a very approachable, let's say, owner of like a large section of the landing areas, which basically, if you pay them, they will provide you near perfect cover for any illicit shit you might get up to. So basically like a safe harbor for anything you might want to do.
Okay, splendid. So you know from your various sort of fairly vestigial but sort of basic underworld connections, you've started to make a bit of a name for yourself. I mean, let's face it, you've taxed 3 speeder bikes from various different places. You've been involved in at least a couple of high-profile robberies. So your name has started to filter out there a little bit in the underworld. You're not on sort of like the Han Solo sort of level yet, but you've made a good start. So you know from your various contacts that Coral City is basically like if you thought of it as a sort of a slightly grimier version of Las Vegas, that's what Coral City is like. It's where all the sort of dubious entertainments, if you've got the money and the credits, are available. You know that there is a Quarren called Barabbas who effectively owns a large amount of the real estate around the main landing area, and he's known to look the other way and provide certain services if the price is right, and as long as you don't basically bring shit to where he lives. Okay, does anyone else want to make any sort of knowledge roll before you arrive at Coles 2?
I could try an Outer Rim one.
Go for it. Difficulties 2?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Okay, so unfortunately you've only really got very basic information. Obviously you know the Raven lives here, and you know that the Raven, he certainly runs with some of the criminal elements, although it's more sort of like the tech crime sort of elements here. And you know that the largest sort of steading or settlement here is Calareth, which is the capital where the ruling monarchy rule from. But generally, they sort of turn a blind eye to things as long as it's not bringing imperial attention down on their world. Although nominally they are loyal to the Empire.
Okay.
Okay, Gribbly, do you want to make any sort of lore roll or knowledge check?
Yeah, I could do law or Outer Rim. So let's do law. That's something done.
Excellent roll. Okay, you know that there is a settlement which is called Redwater, which is sort of like renowned throughout the sector because it lies in an area of the Great Ocean, such as what they call most of the world, that is home to this large apex predator called the razor squid. And the people who sort of live in Redwater are quite a hardy breed. A lot of them have scars from these razor squids, and they see it as a sort of mark of manhood to have one of these scars. In fact, a lot of them won't even deal with anyone who doesn't have such a scar themselves because they don't see them as sort of being worth dealing with. Okay, so now I'm going to ask if each of you can please make your force dice roll for the game.
Oh, yeah.
And that's exclamation mark destiny space roll for anyone who can't remember. It's looking good for me so far.
My beautiful grenades. No!
Okay, so we just need you to make your roll now, Becky.
She's probably lost connection. She's just getting back on.
Okay, no problems. We'll press on. We'll get Becky to make a roll when she's reconnected. Okay, so you guys have arrived in the sort of orbit of Coles 2. Like I say, you can see it's this verdant ocean world. There are the 6 main settlements, obviously Calareth being the capital. Obviously, you guys have got a ship. You can pretty much go to any of the settlements you so wish. Where do you want to head to?
Okay, so I've probably shared my insight into the fact that Coral City is basically like Ocean Vegas.
Mm.
And it's probably a good place to start looking for information on anything related to the underworld. But then again, depending on if Gribbly has shared the whole like razor squid story, Yatu really wants to get fucked up by a razor squid because that's going to show that he's real hard.
Indeed, it would.
So that's a thing on the list of things to do.
We can always do the job first and you do your playtime later.
Yeah, so probably like the logical step is going to Coral City first, put down some roots. Yes! Thank you, Becky, for the grenades.
Yay!
I lost connection for ages. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm back now.
It's fine. All you missed, Gribbly, was Yatu going, "No, I won't be able to get anything from my utility belt."
In that case, I'd best play them straight away and completely skip those rolls just for lols.
Okay, so just to bring you up to speed quickly, Gribbly, they were discussing where to land, which of the cities to effectively land at on Coles 2. So I don't know whether you have any thoughts about where you wish to start off. If anyone wants you to make a roll to know anything about a particular city, you can, of course, do so.
Look, Redwater's not a good place to go. They're just like they're frightened of lobsters, and unless you're chopped up by squid, they don't like talking to you. So just let's not go there, okay? You said Coral was a good place, right?
Coral City, yeah.
Coral City is where all the fun things happen.
It sounds like, if nothing else, we'll find a person who knows where to go.
So I think we're putting down at the safe harbor then in Coral City.
Okay, not a problem. So you start heading towards Coral City. As you're getting near to it, you can see, as with most of the other cities on this world, it's built on one of these large sort of oil platform style structures. Although you can see that, unlike the structures on the previous planet you visited, the Drydecker plantation, etc., you can see that the building materials used here appear to be a lot cruder. And whereas you were sort of moving about, you were seeing lots of droids and lots of sort of technology on the previous planet you visited, there doesn't appear to be so much of that here. When you do see people working, it's people working rather than droids. You see the odd like maintenance droid or very sort of crude like old style droid knocking about, but most of it's people, and sort of more old school materials have been used to build this huge city. You would probably know, Gribbly, that Coral City is like the second largest of the cities. It's only a bit smaller than Calareth, which is the capital. And as you're getting near to it, it's just starting to get into early evening as you're dipping down through the atmosphere. And you see lights in various garish hues have started to come on the various buildings throughout Coral City. There is loud music, some synthesized, some obviously being played by bands, piping out from the various buildings. Signs are flickering on. Obviously, Crude and Yatu, you would know the outskirts of Coral City a little because you were here previously when you went to the Tiki Bar. So, but you've not really been into the centre of the city. The outside is just sort of like, oh, it's nice little quaint sort of knick-knack places and tiki bars for like tourists. And then, like you say, the further in you go, the more sort of obvious it is that it's like gambling houses, and it's like you say, it's like Vegas on water, basically.
Yeah.
And obviously, Yatu, you know about the Quarren Barabbas, who owns a large part of the landing bays hereabouts.
Yeah, so yeah, we'd probably have to call him before we land, right? Or at least like a representative to let him know that we're coming in.
But you've not really had any direct contact with him yourself thus far.
Right,
You've just
right.
sort of like heard of him. But it's a fairly, you would know, it's a fairly safe bet when you're dealing with these sort of underworld types that it's generally best not to show up unannounced or like take them by surprise.
Yeah, so what probably happens is we put in at like a public dock, and then we'll go find Barabbas pretty early on, I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that as we touch down and like come down the ramp, I just be going like, Crude and Miss Cold. Is there anything in particular that you would prefer to do? I will have to go and sort out our docking arrangements with the local high authorities, so to say.
Exciting, isn't it? I've never been somewhere that's so rough.
Right. I'll probably head to the bar for a bit, have a good chat with the locals there, see what's happening.
As you're having this conversation, a young male Twi'lek who's a sort of a light pink in colour comes walking over to you, and like a lot of people on this sort of fairly warm and tropical ocean world, he's pretty much just wearing like a pair of slacks and a headband to keep his like head tails tied back. As he's walking up, you can see he's got basically like a pile of like flyers tucked under one of his muscular arms. He sees you guys climbing off your ship, walks over to you and says, "Ah, greetings, welcome to Coles 2, my friends. How was your journey?"
Oh, wonderful! It was delightful. Hi.
He turns a dazzling smile towards you and says, "Oh, good. I'm so pleased. I trust you weren't troubled by the storm fronts. We've had an early weather warning coming from the southern oceans, but nothing that should be causing too much trouble for incoming traffic. I trust you weren't bothered by it."
What? No?
It's a spaceship.
Oh, well, I'll have to be honest with you. I'm not terribly familiar with such things. I've only ever been off this world once myself. I'm not as very well travelled as I can see. You're obviously a cosmopolitan sort yourselves. Please forgive me though. My name is Rebo, and I was just here to offer you some complimentary tickets to Quanji's casino.
Oh, how delightful. I presume it's the kind of case where they take all of your money and then you win, they kill you.
Of course, it's a casino. However, these tickets, and he gives each of you one of these flyers, they do entitle you to your first drink free at the casino.
Sounds good.
It's alright. Unless it's one of those silly things where it's just a small drink or a not very strong drink.
Oh, no. We're quite well known for our hospitality here. I'm sure you'll find everything to your liking. After all, as we're fond of saying here, the customer is always right, and we endeavour to see people leaving with a great big smile on their face, and we hope they'll return. But anyway, I mustn't keep you. I'm sure you've got a lot of things to do. You look like busy people. I hope you enjoy your stay. Take care. And he smiles again with this dazzling smile and walks off towards some other people who are getting off his ship. As he gets near to them, you hear him in the distance say, "Hello there, welcome to Coles 2.
Oh, he was lovely.
Yeah, for sure. Should we meet up here later on? Crude, you wanted to go to a bar. I'm sure they have a bar that you would like to sit at.
Well, if they're offering free drinks, then yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, well, here you go. You can have mine. And I hand my flyer to Crude.
Oh,
Because I know that he likes to drink a bit.
yeah, cheers. Cheers. Good. Okay, well, I guess see you guys in a bit. Formed, and he sort of waves his little comm link at you guys.
I would suggest that Gribbly goes to the bar as well, unless Ms. Cold has different plans.
That is quite a good idea, actually.
Certainly. I wonder if they have more Twi'leks there too.
They probably will.
As you're saying this, Gribbly, and you're obviously like looking around so wide-eyed at the people moving around, you can actually see that obviously there's loads of humans about because they get everywhere, but there's also a lot of Twi'leks and Nortolans knocking about.
Curious. So many of us.
I give Crude, like, I touch my nose or like yank my ear a bit to let Crude know that, like, I really think that he should be looking after Gribbly, because Gribbly is going to be like fleeced here.
Okay, well, Crude rolls his eyes, but that's probably pretty hard to see since they're just black. But he reluctantly nods and is like, okay, fine.
Okay, good. I will go see to certain arrangements with the locals, and I'll join you at the bar later on. Do let me know if there's anything you find out.
Oh yeah, I will.
Okay, so as Crude and Gribbly head off to the bar, what are you planning to do, Yatu?
Probably go to like a street food vendor and ask around, because Yatu's thinking is that anyone who's I first of all, I want to try and navigate to the area of the landing bays, which I think is controlled by Barabbas, and then ask around with the locals. Because like Yatu's thinking is that anyone who operates there has to be like kicking back to Barabbas for the privilege.
Okay, in which case, can you make me a streetwise roll, difficulty 2? Okay, that's a threat. So, as you're wandering around, how are you do find a few street vendors. Most of them have sort of like calamari or sort of seafood of some variety that they're selling, obviously it being an ocean world. How are you going about asking and trying to find out where this Barabbas is?
I'm of course every stall that I stop at, I buy something. So by the end, I'm probably holding like 5 sticks of, I don't know, like eel kebab, and I eat a bit, but mostly after buying the food, I chat with the vendors, try to, well, as we witness with the role, Yatu isn't the subtlest of guys, I guess. So he's trying to be real smooth about like asking, not directly, but he just ends up going like, hey, who do you pay your rent to? Like, who allows you to operate here? Even though like in his head he's being real smart and suave about it.
Okay, so after you've been asking around for a bit, you stood at one of the vendors, and quite a lot of them all quite happily admit to giving kickbacks to Barabbas. As you stood there talking to one of these vendors, a sort of youth, he's probably about sort of 14 years old, human, sort of tugs on your sleeve a bit and says, "Oi, you looking for Barabbas?"
Yeah.
Says, "Oh, well, he's just over at Threado's over there. If you want to come with me, I'll like take you to him."
Okay, sure. How much do you want?
Well, let's call it 5 credits.
Here's an eel kebab, and I hand him one of the sticks.
Lol.
He sighs and then like bites a chunk off it and says, "All right, come on, man."
Right, lead on.
Okay, he starts leading you through all of these buildings, down these sort of alleyways and side streets. Can you make me a perception roll, please? Difficulty 2.
That is amazing roll for me.
Okay, you're not 100% sure, but as this, you notice that this youth seems to be like purposefully leading you into the back streets, and he appears to be like taking you into some of like the sort of alleyways off the main thoroughfare.
So I hear Barabbas enjoys a bit of luxury in that.
Oh yeah, Barabbas is well rich.
Mm-hmm.
You notice the sort of the youth is like occasionally has like a quick glance around as he's like moving, starting to like look a little bit suspicious.
So which of these dumpsters is Barabbas in then?
Oh, he's just down this street here. If you just follow me, I'll take you straight to him.
Okay, I presume he's leading because he's guiding me along.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at this point I'd probably have my hand on like the handle of my blaster rifle. It's just like casually holding it to my side, not like pointing it anywhere, just having it at the ready. And basically showing to anyone who bothers to look that I'm well armed.
Okay, you're escorted into what soon is revealed to be a dead-end street by this youth. As he walks down the alleyway, you notice 3 figures peeling out of the shadows at the side of the street. All of them have sort of these odd sort of grey, like almost like eel skin sort of jackets on. Almost sort of like biker leathers, but if they've been made out of eel skin rather than more normal leather. Each of them has like a bronze skull tattooed on their left shoulder, well, emblazoned on the left shoulder of their jacket. As they step out of the alleyway, you can see they all have rather conspicuous like bulges of blaster pistols or something similar underneath their jacket. They start walking towards you, and then one of them puts his hand up to halt the others, and he says, looks at the youth and says, "Senku, you know we're not supposed to mess with the tourists." At which point the youth says, "Oh look, I'm sorry, my mistake." At which point the three figures, the one who's in the lead says, "Sorry to inconvenience you, sir." He grabs the youth by the shoulder, like frog marches him past you, turns around and says, "Hope you enjoy your stay, sir." And then they walk past you out of the alleyway.
Probably like the scene ends with Yasu in the background, sort of like spreading his hands and looking annoyed that this didn't turn into like a gangster pissing contest, and just muttering to himself like, "Man," because in his mind he missed an opportunity to show how cool he is.
Make me a perception roll, difficulty 3. Okay, as you're sort of watching these three figures frog marching this youth down the alleyway, the one who's at the rear of the group pauses momentarily. You see him lift up what looks like a data pad, but since you're behind him, you can't see what's on the display. He looks at the data pad for a few moments, then like puts it back in his jacket pocket and carries on moving.
Yeah. Yeah, we can probably move on to the casino, but I will be trailing these guys when we get back to me.
Okay, absolutely fine. So, speaking of the casino, Crude and Gribbly, you've followed the directions that are on these leaflets you've been given, and quite soon you see this large building with this sort of neon red lettering saying Quanji's Casino. There's loud live music blaring from inside. You can hear the sound of dice clattering across the table, people cheering or booing, the sound of credits clattering down to the floor. There's a number of young ladies and young men in various states of undress, mostly Twi'leks and humans, sort of like dancing in the windows effectively. As you approach, the whole place has a sort of lurid neon red glow, almost like pulsating off it, due to these lurid letters spread out across the front of it. What do you guys want to do?
So I hook my right arm and sort of gesture to Gribbly as if to hook hers around mine. I sort of beam the smile at her.
There's my ticket. I'd like a diet water, please. Off you go.
And he sort of looks around, and I'm not sure you get it, but they probably don't like Twi'leks going around by themselves.
What do you mean?
Well, you know how back when we first met, and well, there was something mentioned, and people found it odd that you didn't have somebody to accompany. It's the same sort of thing.
You mean the Twi'leks here are slaves?
Probably yes, but more to the point, in these kinds of places, and believe me, I've traveled to quite a few of them, it's just not normal for a Twi'lek, especially of your female persuasion to be going around by yourself. It's not safe for one thing either.
Nobody persuaded me to be female. Look, I've heard of Twi'lek slavery, and I have to tell you, Crude, I disapprove.
I don't really have an opinion on it, but we need to act, we act like normal, and if we've come together, surely it makes sense for us to stick together.
I see, you're chatting me up.
Well, I mean, no, it's just
As you're having this discussion, a muscular, reptilian-looking, green-skinned humanoid with quite sort of angular features and small, sharp teeth protruding over his lips walks towards you. He's wearing quite sort of posh silk clothing in sort of dark blue and grey hues. As he gets a little closer, he smiles and says, "Is there a problem, miss?" And he looks at you grimly.
I'd just like a diet water, please. And I hand him the ticket that I just handed to Crude. I sort of grab it off him and stuff the ticket at this guy.
He laughs and says, "There's no need to turn over your ticket for a simple water. Please keep hold of it. You can have as much water as you want. We don't charge for water. That would be barbaric."
Topical.
Please wait here a moment. He turns around and walks over to, sort of pushing his way through the crowd towards the large semicircular bar. He returns with a jug of water and a couple of tumblers in his other hand, and then says, "And whereabouts would you be sitting? I've brought you over a whole jug. Compliments of the house."
Wonderful, thank you. What game is that? I say, pointing to a random game.
We'll sit over there in that booth, and I sort of gesture my hand across her to a booth somewhere.
Yes, very good, very good. The game that you're pointing at, miss, is called Diaries.
Well, can we play that, Crude? Let's see if we can work out how to win.
I was going to ask, actually, would I know what Diaries was, if anything?
Do you have any sort of gambling skill that would be applicable? Or any sort of knowledge skill that you think might be applicable?
Underworld, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Make an Underworld roll, difficulty 2.
Could I assist on this or something?
Yeah, I'll say you can assist, which will give you a boost dice, Crude.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, Diaries it's a fairly specialist sort of gambling game. It tends to be played on aquatic worlds like this one. Effectively, it involves a person placing their head in a large receptacle of liquid, normally water, and then people around the table betting on how long they can hold their breath and keep their head underwater for. Whoever gets nearest to the actual time wins the pot.
In that case, I turn to look at Gribbly and just simply say, how good are Twi'leks at holding their breath?
Good question.
Because that's essentially all you have to do.
I actually don't know.
You would basically be looking at a willpower roll to hold your breath the longest.
I'd rather that neither of us drowned this early on, to be honest. Why don't we just play some other betting game that involves cards or dice or something?
Well, there is sabacc and other things going on as well.
What do you say, Gribbly?
Well, that one looked like so much fun. Oh well, Let's play Sabak.
Okay, and I immediately like click my fingers as well at some kind of, I don't know, waiter or official that's going around, and I gesture for him to get me something much stronger than just simply water, and I hand my voucher over.
The waiter takes your voucher off you and says, yes, of course, and he comes back a few moments later with a tumbler full of this very sort of bright blue liquid.
Oh,
You can tell
yes.
from just smelling it, it's very alcoholic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the stuff. I haven't had this for a few years.
As you're looking at the various sort of Sabak games that are going on, you can see people dealing out from the Sabak decks. You can see the cards going down, the various face cards, the queen, the star, etc. The 4 different suits, flasks, sabres, staves and coins. Everyone, as usual with Sabak, trying to collect a hand of cards that totals positive or negative 23. Occasionally you hear cheers as people either scoop up their money or boos and jeers as they throw their cards down in disgust, having lost their money. It seems like it's quite high stakes in this casino.
Okay. It's a bit risky, this one, but if you want a couple of games.
I'm not carrying any cash on me at the moment, but I'll cheer you on.
Oh, I see. All right. Fine, I'll play a couple.
Okay, now depending on how you want to play Sabak, if you're trying, there's a number of different ways to play it. That's why it's such an appealing game across the galaxy. If you want to try and sort of bluff people a lot, then you'd be using skullduggery. If you were trying to sort of work out what other people had got and play your hands accordingly, it would be perception. Whereas if you're just trying to build the best hand you've got yourself, it could be negotiation. You could also make a play for deception. It just depends on how you want to try and play the game.
I'll go with perception.
Okay, not a problem. Now it seems as though all of the people playing are quite sort of proficient at it. It's a 200 credit buy-in.
Oh. I have 20 credits.
Maybe you'll have to go for one of the smaller games, or perhaps you could wait till Yatu turns up and it maybe he'll float you alone. If you
with all the cash that we have. Okay, I sort of tip out my credit chips and I just say, oh, I can't even enter this game. Makes sense. It's probably one of the bigger leagues on this place. All right, I'm going to go and find a small scale game.
As you tip your sort of paltry 20 credits out, there's just this ripple of laughter that runs around the table. There's all these people with these massive stacks of like credits and chips on the table in front of them. See this tiny pile of credits that you tip out onto the table.
Yeah, well, Rodian's got to make a living.
There's more laughter and the people sort of turn back to their game, obviously realising that, like you said, this is a little bit too rich for your blood.
Yeah, I just kind of just sort of shrug and just think, whatever. And I go off and do a smaller game of some kind.
Just after he leaves the table up, and I will just hang back a moment and I say, I'm terribly sorry, he just doesn't carry cash on him. He's far too rich for that. And then I'll walk off and rejoin Crude.
Oh, God.
Okay, can you make me a deception roll, please, Gribbly? Difficulty 3.
Can I use one of the Destiny die? I can't remember how to do it.
Of course you can. The way to use a Destiny dice is you type in !Destiny space L, and that upgrades one of your green dice to a yellow dice.
Boom!
Okay, so with that, since you've got a triumph, as I did with Yatu earlier on, I'm going to turn the narrative over to yourself. As a result of you saying this, what would you like the response to be?
I think the table will actually sort of beckon Crude back and apologise and say that he can play on an IOU.
Okay, and indeed, that's what happens as you're just turning around to leave, and Gribbly gives this little speech. Crude, a grey-skinned Quarren stands up from the table and he says, "Please forgive my ill-mannered friends here. They're more used to the provincial life. It's not often we get such distinguished guests here in this little casino. Please, I will float you the price of your admission to this game. Please, both of you, take a seat." And he clicks his fingers together and then says, "Drinks for my two new friends here."
I just sort of blink halfway through a drink and think, what the hell has Gribbly got us into?
I got used to the game here now. I'll just stick with my jug of water, thank you.
I hold out my glass and just tap twice on it as though to say I'll have another one of these.
Another drink is brought over to you. As the two of you sit down, the grey-skinned Quarren slides a credit chit over towards you, Crude, and then he says, "I'm afraid 500 is the smallest that I have. But there you go, it should see you well to start the game. Dealer, deal the cards."
Thank you. Thank you.
Not at all, not at all. It's all too rare that we have fresh blood around the tables.
Crude is extremely uneasy at this point. The thing that, well, he's theorizing in his mind, whether it's true or not, is that this man surely will be very angry if Crude loses his money. And he's sort of looking around, darting his eyes around to see if he can see any kind of presence of maybe the more thuggish type or bouncer type people that could be working for him.
As you look around, you can see sort of people wearing effectively like formal wear, who are obviously casino bouncers. They don't appear to be specifically assigned to this particular Quarren, but they are sort of dotted around the room, so obviously if anyone starts any trouble, they can respond quickly. But they don't seem to be actively sort of doing anything at the moment. They're just keeping an eye on the place, as a bouncer would do normally in a club.
Okay. In that case, after looking around for a couple of minutes, Crew just sort of smooths his brow of sweat and kind of looks back to the table and just starts to breathe nice and slowly and just keep calm, keep calm.
Okay, what role would you like to use for your gambling attempt?
Is this the same few ones that you mentioned before?
It is indeed, yeah.
Okay. Well, deception and perception are tied. I'm going to use perception for this one.
Okay, so you're playing a game where you're trying to pay attention and trying to work out what your opponents have got, so you can get a hand that outdoes them effectively, rather than trying to bluff them into thinking you've got a better hand. Okay, so the difficulty is going to be 4, because you're playing with like some people who know this game very well.
Okay.
I suppose it would be cheating if I assisted, wouldn't it?
You could potentially try it, but like you say, technically it would be frowned on.
I'm happy for whatever, but obviously tell me before I roll.
Talk away out of it if it goes wrong.
Basically, if you were trying to provide active help during the game, Gribbly, that would be some sort of deception or skullduggery roll to enable you to grant the bonus. Obviously, if you fail the roll, that means you've been rumbled while you were doing it.
Yeah, I think it's better just to let him roll on that one. Just do the destiny before John does. / end better.
I suppose I could. It'll only give me an extra green dice, though. No, I'll leave it for now, just in case we run into even more trouble.
Okay, so after the first hand, you have lost 200 of the 500 that you were given, because obviously 200's the stake to go in. You've not bet any more, but you've lost that 200, so you're down to 300 at the moment.
Okay.
The guy who floated you the loan, the grey-skinned Quarren, he's obviously like a real expert at the game. He is fair cleaning up. He's raking in the credits.
Okay, in that case, Crude breathes a massive sigh of relief, because as long as he's winning his money back, that's all right.
Indeed, you notice how like when it becomes obvious that you've lost 200 credits, he just sort of laughs and he says, "Easy come, easy go. Maybe you'll have better luck with the next hand, my friend."
Okay, I might as well keep going.
Okay, second hand, buy-in is 250 credits. Who's in? A couple of people are like, "Oh no, too much for me, too much for me. I've lost everything. Now I'm all right." A few people go back in, but the group's sort of getting smaller and smaller as the stakes are going higher.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, it's the same roll again.
Okay, this time I'll do Destiny. So I am right, aren't I? If I've got 2 yellow to begin with, it adds a green.
That is absolutely correct.
Oh.
Okay, so at the end of the second hand, you've managed to, let's see, you put 250 in, you've managed to win back an additional 100. So you're now up to 400 altogether.
Cute.
The Quarren says, "There you go. See, I told you, Lady Luck, she is a fickle mistress, and nowhere is this more true than at the sabacc table. But well done, my friend." And he like thumps his hand on the table.
How about double or quits?
"Oh, I like your spirit, my friend. Yes, I will go for that. Normally the next round would have been 300 buy-in, so shall we say... Let's make it interesting. Shall we say 800 credits for the buy-in?"
But I've only got 400.
Ah, that is unfortunate for you, my friend. You were doing so well.
I shoot a look at Gribbly as though to say, what? Just when I was like actually winning something?
At this point, Yatu, would you have been heading to the casino, or were you trailing those guys first?
Yeah, I was gonna trail those guys because I think they work for, or at least by the permission of people who I actually want to talk to.
Okay, so we're going to cut away from the casino scene for a few moments to Yatu following these 3 thugs, for want of a better term, and this youth Senku through the streets. You see them head to what appears to be effectively like a public telephone box, like a public comms, although it's quite sort of grimy and looks like it's seen better days and it's in a state of ill repair. One of them, the leader, walks over to the public comms system. You see him go inside it, the screen lights up, and you can hear him sort of talking to someone. If you want to try and get closer and listen in, you can do, but that'll be a perception roll. Difficulty 2.
Can I make a case for stealth, maybe, or something to sort of like blend in closer to them?
Yeah, you can certainly make a case for stealth. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah. So my plan essentially is I want to get the equivalent of a newspaper and just like James Bond my way close to them.
That is absolutely fine. There's loads of like leaflets and posters stuck up everywhere you can, and probably like say a few publications lying around that you can grab hold of. So make your stealth roll. It's difficulty 2, however one of them is going to be red. Okay, you sneak closer and you can hear the lead one of these leather jacketed thugs, and you hear him saying, "Barabbas? Yeah, it's me. Yeah, Senku's just tried to get us to mug off some tourists who was here. Yeah, don't worry. I've told him off about it. I've told him we don't mess with the tourists. Look, we know the drill. We know the score. But yeah, one of my boys looked him up on the public access data stream. We think it's one of those guys that Chiss was looking for a couple of days ago. Yeah, one of the ones that's got the bounty on them. Yeah, apparently, according to Senku, he was looking for you anyway. What do you want us to do about it? I know you told us not to mess with the tourists. You don't want us impacting on your revenue stream, and I get that. I respect you, Brabus. I've always towed the line. We know what the score is. Look. The face of the sneaks. We don't want any trouble with you guys. You put enough work our way. But what do you want us to do with this guy? Well, I presume he's still in the street where we left him.
I wanna. Is there like a booth where he's using the comms console? Or
Yeah.
Okay. I wanna step in there and press my blaster against his back, if I can.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. As you step in and press your blaster against his back, he just holds his hands up and stops talking. And you can hear a voice on the other end of the comms going, "Hello?
Is there like a cord attached to whatever he's talking, or is it like an old timey phone?"
Yeah, I mean, as we know, this is like the Star Trek universe. So it's effectively got like one of those headsets, like they have in like the Millennium Falcon with like the little cable on it.
Right.
You can see that he was just sort of like holding it up, the earpiece to his ear with a little microphone on. He hadn't actually put it over his head, but as he's like lifted his hand up, it's just like hanging by the thread from the main sort of console. You can just hear this voice going, "Hello?
Yeah, I'm gonna use my free hand to lift it up and put it to my ear and go, hello.
Who is this?"
This is the aforementioned tourist that is currently holding up your man in a public comms booth, and someone who is wondering if we could talk face to face, for I have business to discuss and credits to spend.
What sort of business?
The sort of business you don't talk about in public comms booths.
Ah, my favorite kind of business. Well, good then. Have my men bring you to me. Pass the receiver over to them and I'll give them instructions.
Very good.
You have nothing to fear from my boys. They know their place.
Very good. I will do so now. And I I hand the headset back and step outside the comms booth, but still, like, I hold my blaster rifle in front of him, not pointed at the guy, but I'm showing it to him, like, yeah, I can shoot you.
You pass the headset back over to him, and you hear him saying, yeah. All right. No problems, Brad. Yeah, we'll bring him straight to you, of course. Yeah, no problems. All right, okay, yeah, straight away. Yeah, I got it. Okay. And then he, like, hangs up the headset, walks out to the booth, and he says, well, looks like you're going to be meeting the boss then. Suppose I best take you straight there.
Yeah, and I hold him, like, I hold my hand out, and I go, I'm Yatu Deng, though I presume you have heard of me before. And I give him my biggest smile, because this is my moment.
He says, of course I've heard of you. You don't think you can have like a 10,000 credit bounty on your head and like not have people heard of you?
I do my best to control myself at when I hear the amount, because I'm going, wee!
Nice.
So yeah, I clear my throat and we'll lead on. We have business.
He shakes your hands and he says, Stanor of the Faceless Sneaks. Right, well, that's the introductions done. Let's get going. And they lead you back towards the sort of landing bay area and to a large sort of almost like a sort of office block built around the edge of it. It looks quite luxurious, like a sort of big corporate building, you know, glass front, etc. Lots of like plants and greenery, stuff like that. As you're led into a large reception area, you can see there's a pool with a lot of fish and different aquatic life swimming in it. There's a young Twi'lek woman stood behind the reception desk. You're led in by Stenor, who says, "Boss wants us to take this guy straight up to see him." "If you just hold on a minute, I'll just check." And she presses a button and says, "Mr. Barabbas, there's a gentleman here to see you." You hear the voice in the red say, "Ah, yes, sir. Good. I'm expecting a visitor. Send them straight up via my special elevator." She takes a hand off the comms button and says, "If you'll please go to the elevator straight ahead, you'll be taken directly to Mr. Barabbas's private suite. Have a nice day." At which point the Stenor, the young thug who's taking you in there, says, "Well, I'm not allowed up in the private suites. I'm afraid you'll be going on your own for the rest of the way."
Well, thank you for the company.
"Well, it's all right. It's not like I had much choice, is it?" Still, you got to start at the. I always say you got to start at the bottom. You got to work your way up. You got to know your place in the scheme of things. That's the way it is.
And I think we part ways with like one of the like gang handshakes where we like pound fists and do all kinds of fancy stuff.
Indeed. As you do the fist bump, though, he sort of like leans in close to you and he says, "Word to the wise, though. A couple of days ago, there was a chiss here who was asking questions about someone matching your description."
Right.
Now, obviously, we'd not met you then, so we didn't give him any information. But he looked like a serious customer, so you might want to be on your guard. Don't know if he's still here.
Right.
But us people who are just getting started in the business, we've got to keep an eye out for each other. So, like I say, word to the wise.
Yeah. That's much appreciated, and I will put it in a good word for your boss up there.
Cheers, much appreciated. And he like bumps his elbow together with yours, and then he says, "Take care." Spins around on his heel and says, "Come on, boys, we're going." And you see the little youth running after him, and he's like, "Oh, can I come with you, Stenor? Can I come with you?" And he's like, Yeah, come on, Senku. Can't let you get in any trouble, can we? Don't you're trying to rip off more tourists." And he like tussles the youth's hair, and he's like, "Oh, get off!" And they wander out of the building.
Yeah, and I'm going into the special elevator.
Okay, you climb into this large sort of plexiglass elevator. You can see there's basically two buttons in it, one for like the ground floor and one for like the private suite.
Yep, up to the suite we go.
Okay, you press the button for the suite, the elevator smoothly starts moving up, and there's like a as you're like moving up and elevator music plays. It gets to the top floor and there's a shh as the whole front of the elevator slides away, and you see into this luxurious penthouse suite beyond. In the center of the suite is effectively a large hot tub, and sitting in it is this large dark red skinned Quarren, just sort of like his upper torso above the bubbles of the hot tub as he's like leaning back and reclining in it.
Is there like a coat rack or something here?
Indeed there is. You can actually see there's like a small sort of stand with like some drawers in it. You can see there's robes laid over it, so like silk robes, and as I say, there's just a couple of stands for like clothes and jackets on it.
Yeah. I'm probably just wearing my vest anyway because I want to show off my really awesome ice worm tattoo as much as I can. But I walk to the rack and I hang my blaster rifle on there, and I approach the hot tub, probably with one of the robes in one hand, on the off chance that I get invited into a tub. And I bow my head respectfully as I approach, and I go, "Boss."
But Barabbas is reclining at the tub, like I say, just his head and not the top of his shoulders showing above the water, and he says, "Well, don't stand on ceremony, man. Get in."
Really? Okay.
Yes, of course. I'm not in the habit of making jokes where business is concerned.
Right. So I get rid of my clothes and slip into the tub.
As you're disrobing and getting to the tub, you notice he raises his eyebrows and he says, nice tattoo.
Oh yeah. I got it to commemorate the time when I was on Ukbat, and me and my friend had to fight one of the ice worms basically barehanded.
Oh, very impressive. Well, if you like ice worms, then I may have something for you, Mr. Deng. And he lifts one of his hands out of the water because he's actually holding a little bell in his hand, and he goes ding 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 ding. A door at the back of the suite opens, and a young Twi'lek man wearing a suit comes walking in and says, "Yes, Mr. Barabbas, what can I do for you? Could you get me one of my special vials for my new friend here?" "Well, yes, of course, Mr. Barabbas, sir. I'll be back momentarily." Good, carry on." This guy walks out. At which point Barabbas turns back to you and then says, "So, you said you had some sort of business proposition for me."
Oh, yes. Me and my crew have recently arrived here, and we are looking for potential business partners whose business does not necessarily stand the light of any sun, really. So,
Well, you've certainly come to the correct city. After all, Coral City, as I'm sure you're aware, pretty much anything can be obtained here if you have the will and the resources to obtain it. Now, that unfortunately does mean we do have a little bit of a problem with crime in Coral City, but as long as we keep our activities confined to Coral City, the Muscall dynasty pretty much leaves us be, and they don't interfere with the running of the city.
and we by no means intend to bring trouble to you or any other operator in Coral City. And in fact, our first order of business was to approach you and secure dockings for our ship, such that might be bypassed when the law comes knocking.
I see. Well, I do make it a policy that anyone I'm keeping on retainer is, shall we say, above the small inconveniences, customs checks, that sort of thing.
What sort of token of appreciation would secure this goodwill of yours?
Well, I generally get a 20% cut of any deals that go down in the districts surrounding the docking bays. And in return for that, I place my resources and my influence, which is, I don't mean to brag, but not inconsiderable, at the disposal of the people who work for me. People such as the Faceless Sneaks that you've met, Stanor, or the Faceless Sneaks. They're one of the groups that operate in this city. I'm what you might call Mr. Dang, I'm what you might call a facilitator. I know people in high positions, and I have the resources and the political pull to make things a little easier for those who I regard as my friends. And if they choose to give me a small 20% token of their gratitude, that's all to the good.
Well, and I extend my hand towards him. I believe we have an understanding.
Excellent. And as he finishes speaking, the door again opens at the back of the room, and this Twi'lek man, this waiter, this servant effectively, walks in with a silver platter that he's carrying. On it are what appear to be 2 small white capsules, sort of like the size of like aspirin or paracetamol capsules. He leans down with the platter so that it's next to Barabbas's head. Barabbas then takes these 2 capsules in his hands and then says, good, I don't think I'll be needing this either. And he lifts his other hand out of the hot tub. You see that he's actually holding a heavy blaster pistol, which he must have been holding under the water, in his other hand. He places the heavy blaster pistol on the serving platter and then sort of shoos his manservant away, who bows and heads away, taking the weapon with him. Now, I'm sure you'll forgive me my precautions, but one can't be too careful in the business I'm in. But as I said, if you like ice worms, then I'm sure you'll like these. And he drops these 2 white capsules into your hands.
Are these some sort of extracts, or?
Oh, yes. You see, we have discovered that the adrenaline gland of the giant ice worm, when its contents are extracted, it can be quite a potent mixture.
Right, and I go to pop one of the pills unless he stops me.
No, he doesn't make any attempt to stop you.
Yeah. So I take one of them and just knock it back.
Okay, now I'm sure you've seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yep.
You know the bit when he like smashes that adrenochrome down himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of like drips it into his eyes. It's that sort of effect. As you take it, it's almost as though your metabolic processes speed up, so you're thinking about 4 times as fast. Everything around you seems to be like moving really slowly, but in fact it's you moving like really quickly as your body's sort of being hyped up on this adrenaline extract from the ice worm. It's a very heady experience.
Yeah, I'm breathing real hard, and probably like my fingers are twitching for like anything to do. Wow. Do you have more of this?
I do have some more of it. However, it's quite, I'm sure you'll appreciate, given that you've experienced the great ice worms.
Yes.
It's quite difficult to harvest, and the refining process, it takes a lot of adrenaline extract, and it has to be condensed down using a lot of scientific equipment that I don't even pretend to understand to get it to this state. So it's a precious resource. But you've got another capsule there. What I suggest you do, Mr. Deng, is I suggest you go and enjoy the nightlife of this great coral city of ours. Perhaps give one of these capsules to a friend or take it yourself. It's yours now. It's not my business. But enjoy your evening. See a little more of the city. Have a think about precisely what it is that you're going to bring to my operation. Then we could arrange to meet, shall we say, for breakfast tomorrow, and we can discuss things in a more business-like fashion. I don't like discussing business straight away with people that I've just met, but you seem like a decent sort. But go and enjoy your night in the city. Come back, have breakfast with me in the morning, and we'll sort out precisely what you can bring to my organization.
Shall we meet here then in the morning, or?
Yes, we'll meet here. I may take us to one of my favourite restaurants, but we'll meet here since obviously you know where here is. Just speak to the receptionist. I'll tell them to expect you, and we'll have a little breakfast and we'll talk shop. How does that sound?
Sounds good. I'll probably bring my my crew as well, and I'm sort of like bobbing up and down while I'm talking.
That's fine. Mr. Dengham, whilst I'm sure you're enjoying the adrenaline extract, make sure you drink plenty of water whilst you're doing so. It's very easy to get dehydrated on that sub.
Shouldn't be a problem. It's an ocean planet. Yeah.
Yes, very good, very good. But I'll leave you to the rest of your evening. I look forward to our business talk tomorrow, Mr. Deng.
Yeah, me as well. And then
One more thing, Mr. Deng, before you leave. Are you aware that you have a 10,200 credit bounty on your head?
Oh yeah, that's. And I catch myself before I say that's awesome. That's yes. I heard there was a bounty hunter here looking for me, I guess.
Yes, there's a similar bounty on two of your associates. I'm sorry, I forget the names, but apparently the bounty was placed by Ramon Drydecker III, somewhat not inconsiderable business power in this sector. I'm not entirely sure what you did to cross him, but I would be careful if I were you. He's a powerful enemy to have made.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me know, and we'll talk about it, and you and I will talk about it later on if that becomes a necessity, and I'll keep an eye out for trouble. Yeah.
I look forward to our discussions. Go and enjoy your evening, Mr. Deng.
Yeah, and I do so. So I bounce up from the the hot tub, get I'll dry myself, get dressed super fast, and then be on my way towards the casino.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So as you head over to the casino, you head in just at the point where this grey-skinned Quarren seated around this sabacc table is saying, well, why don't we make it more interesting and make it 800 credits for the buy-in? At which point Crude's saying, oh, I really don't have that much money.
That's not actually what I meant by double or quits.
Oh, well, if you'll please tell me what you did mean, miss. I apologise if I've misunderstood.
Crude, push your stack forward to the middle of the table for a moment. It's double or quits, straight 50-50, if you're bold enough.
Well, I was just willing to put 800 credits on the line, so I would say that I'm bold enough.
Okay, and as soon as he pushes the credits forward, I pull them all back. What a shame, you lost.
Wait, what?
As that occurs, you see the Quarren sort of raise one of his eyebrows, and he looks at you, Crude, and says, now, you seem like a nice enough fellow, or I wouldn't have lent you the money to take part in this game. But I don't think your friend, and he nods in Gribbly's direction, quite understands how these things work.
No,
but
gamble. It was double or quits. We put the 400 in, you didn't take it, so you pushed one, we took the win. It's simple 50-50 game. It's not my fault if you're not very good at it.
You notice at Crude as this explanation is going on, that his expression is growing a bit darker, and he says, "Splendid. So you'll now be able to return the money that I loaned you, then?"
Yes, sure.
Well, yes, of course.
Good. And he takes his 500 credits back.
Okay.
That should leave us 300 in profit, I believe.
Indeed. Okay, so Yato, you sort of walked in and approached the table as this has been going on, in your sort of slightly hyped up state.
Yeah, I think Yato is probably very hyped up, considering that he reacts pretty strongly to the stims that we took last time, and this is I don't know, to quote.
That's it. I mean,
no, you go.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say these make stims look like the sort of Diet Coke of stimulants.
Yeah.
This is like stims X plus alpha.
Yeah, this is, to quote Charlie Sheen, this is tiger blood.
Pretty much.
So yeah, so I come up rolling in. totally enjoying myself. I have some new eel kebabs that I bought on the way, and probably like toss away some of the empty sticks, and I go, "Crude, Gribbly, what's going on?" Yeah. I'm fairly aggressive in my body language as well.
Whoa! Calm down. What? Gambling, drinking. What do you think is going on?
Do you have enough money
Do I have enough money?
to gamble?
No.
Okay, and I put down a credit stick. Well, there's 10 grand for you. Let's have some fun. Yeah, and I clap my hands real hard and fast.
Okay, I'm fine. Whatever. And
As you're saying this, the grey-skinned Quarren has got up and left the table and he's wandered off elsewhere.
okay, well, there's all kinds of stuff going on. There's some game that involves not drowning.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, if you want. In fact, you know what? And would Yati have a drink by now?
Because I get probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I grab the drink that's in his hands and just down it and say, "I'm going to do it as well."
Why don't we all do it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's all do it.
Okay, so as you head over to this area where people are playing De Brawl, there's effectively this large sort of vat full of water that all the people are participating in are sort of stood around the end. It appears as you walk up that each person's putting like 20 credits into the pot. As you approach, you can see there's 5 people, so 100 credits in the pot. And whoever can hold their breath the longest gets all the money in the pot. So obviously if you guys are all participating and putting your 20 credits in, it'll be 160 altogether.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's do it.
Yep. So we put in the credits, and at least Yatu is going to take off his vest, and I'm picturing Yatu acting sort of like those like American show wrestling types.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he just tears off his vest and like pounds his chest a bit, and it goes, "Yeah!" Trying to, if there's anyone watching, he's trying to get them riled up.
Okay, so as you're doing that, you can see there's a green-skinned Nortolan stood next to the vat. He appears to be the person who's like leading the game. He's holding a wooden stick in one hand, and he's like, "Is anyone else going to participate? Anyone else for a round of De Brawl?"
Yes, I'm going to do some De Brawl.
As you say that, loads of people in the crowd are like, "De Brawl!"
De Brawl! De Brawl!
He points the stick down at effectively just like a bucket on the floor that you can see all the credits have been thrown in, and he's like, 20 credits then, my friend.
Into the pocket it goes.
Yep, and mine.
Okay.
Yetu, or Crude, I just made you 300. Could you put 20 in? I haven't got money on me.
Sure.
Take your places, contenders. And all the other people sort of take a space around this vat of water.
Mm-hmm. I do as well.
On the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. De Brawl! And as he says De Brawl, all the people around this vat stick their heads in the water after taking a deep breath.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so anyone who is trying to hold their breath, you need to make a straight willpower roll, so it's just your willpower stat. And the difficulty is 3 purple. Alright, well we know who's not won.
No!
Wait, what hell did you say?
It's a willpower roll, difficulty 3 purple.
it's probably my metabolism. Like my oxygen just cycles so fast.
Quite possibly.
I don't know if I've got like an out-of-date character sheet, but I don't actually have a skill that's called willpower.
Willpower is a characteristic.
I see. So it's just like the number of greens, yeah?
Yeah, because you're not really using a skill. It's just like, can you mind over after your breath?
Okay, right. Okay.
Well, that answers that. How about Gribbly?
Gribbly's getting the Tesco shopping. She'll be a minute or so.
Yeah, no problems.
I suppose I'll just be like gasping for air and spluttering, or maybe even try and break the pot or the thing that's around me.
So pretty much Yatu and Crude, you put your heads underwater and you can feel that the vibration as this guy's, the master of ceremonies, is like smacking this stick on the side of the vat, like counting out the seconds. And after like a few moments, you got both Yatu and Crude, you're like... You can see like a couple of other people have already sort of like broken with it and they're coughing and spluttering as well. But Gribbly and a few of the others are still sort of like holding their breath.
Oh, that was horrible. Why did I do that?
Obviously, Yatu, you used your breath in about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So you're like...
Yeah, I probably bounce back almost immediately. and it's just, I'm gasping for air.
Okay, as Yatu sort of like bounces back from the vat, sort of falling to the floor, like gasping for air, Crude, you notice like a small white capsule like drops out of his hand onto the floor. Obviously, you've realised you've dropped it, Yatu. You can pick it up straight away if you wish.
Yeah, I'd probably do so because I really enjoy what's going on right now and I want to do it again. So I dive in after the capsule.
Yep, Crude, you see Yatu drops this like white capsule that he was obviously holding in his hand. He quickly scoops it up.
What's that?
It's some really good shit. They make it local, I think.
Oh. Do you fancy sharing some of that with me?
I think we should, because it's apparently very expensive. I think we should probably save this.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Special occasion.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
For when we get, like, to the top, you know?
Oh, well. We best put it somewhere safe then.
Okay, so whilst Gribbly's still holding a breath and the other people are participating in the brawl, are you guys doing anything while you're waiting for that game to finish?
I'm recovering because I was so bad. Probably just stagger back to my booth and take Yatu back there. And I just sort of look at the rest of the jug of water and just like sort of push it away because I don't see any water for ages.
You notice as you sort of head back to the booth with Yatu that he's sort of like jigging about and sort of like twitching a lot. Okay, are you back, Gribbly?
Yeah, sorry about that. The Tesco home delivery arrived.
No problems, absolutely fine. Okay, can you make me a willpower roll? It's a characteristic, so it'll be the number of green dice you have against a difficulty of 3 purple. Okay, so a few seconds after Crude and Yatu sort of splutter and have to take a breath, you also have to like take a breath, Gribbly, and you sort of reel backwards from this vat like... You can see that like Crude and Yatu are sort of like wending their way away from the game, obviously having lost like yourself towards a booth.
Drats, I meant to cheat, but now it's too late. Damn.
As you're sort of, are you following them back to the booth, Gribbly, or?
yes, it takes me a moment to sort of to get to my senses and like, actually, I've drunk rather a lot of water now. I think I need to go to the loo, and I'm going to head to the bathroom.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
I mean, in character.
Yeah, that's fine. I assumed you meant in character. Okay, and this, bizarrely enough, is where we're going to do our tide change for the evening. So, as Gribbly visits the facilities, you hear a sort of like a whispered conversation between a couple of other people in the latrines, Gribbly. So the tide change is going to be what is this whispered conversation and who are the people having it. So I don't know if anyone wants to go first with the tide change.
It's going to be a bounty hunter looking for us, talking to well, their companion. They're a pair of bounty hunters.
Okay, that's cool. How about yourself, Crude?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember the name of some of the characters. Let me just have a look on the Roll20 a minute. But I do have an idea.
No problems. Okay, you got any thoughts, Yatu?
Yeah, I think the planet is nominally aligned with the Empire, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I think there's like an imperial aristocrat who's visiting the casino, and the conversation involves a rebel plot to assassinate said aristocrat.
Okay.
Okay, so my idea is that Gribbly hears a couple of rather scantily clad, beautiful women talking about the person who they are accompanying at the moment, which is Nicholas Lokar.
Oh shit!
Nice.
Who's that?
And what are they saying about Nicholas Lacar?
They are. I would say they were actually talking about us, although very, very vaguely. So it would be, oh, I heard that his daughter went off with these vagabonds, these lowlifes, and haven't seen them since, and things like that.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So for anyone who's watching this who doesn't know what a tide change is, effectively I've asked each of the players to suggest a plot twist. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to post this as a Facebook poll on the Tides of Change Facebook group. We'll have a 15-minute break. When we come back, whichever has got the most votes, that is the plot twist we'll go for. If there is a draw or a tie, then we'll fold them all together into one massive plot twist and we'll just run with that. So we'll have a 15-minute break, guys, and I will see you back here shortly.
Right.
Killian.
Okay, so we are back after the tide change, and it looks as though the Nicholas Lacar option has won out. So, Gribbly, as you, having drunk a lot of water, as you've rightly said, you head into the facilities in the casino. As you head in there, you're doing what people do in the facilities when you hear a couple of, sounds like women, come into the latrines, and you can hear them talking as they're obviously heading over to the wash basins, and you hear one of them say, "Oh, look, all he's been doing all night is banging on and on about his daughter and how she was taken from him. Look, I thought we were going to be in for a fun time, you know. He's the grandmaster of the training academy. I thought, you know, we'd have a good time. Obviously, he earns quite a lot. I thought he'd be splashing about, but that scowl's been on his face all night." You heard another voice say, "Oh, I know, but you can't really blame him. And after all, if someone had kidnapped one of your children, wouldn't you be upset?" "Well, yes, but if that was the case, then I wouldn't be on this planet in the first place. I certainly wouldn't be at Coral City." "Well, that's how some people cope with this sort of things. People deal with it differently." And they carry on in a sort of similar vein.
Do I know about, like, does Gribbly know about the stuff that went down with this Nicholas Lacar?
Yeah, we discussed it before we went back on the previous heist.
Okay.
Well, Yatu, perhaps you'd like to reprise what you discussed for Gribbly's benefit?
Right, so Gribbly is aware that we have the body of a being who was masquerading as Nicholas Lacar's daughter, a shape changer, in a freezer on board of our ship after having accidentally and unintentionally suffocated them when we were flushing out the oxygen to kill a beetle infestation on board. We actually accidentally caught the shape changer as well in that. And yeah, so we have a shape changer who is either masquerading as, or was masquerading as Nicholas Lacar's daughter, or either that or Nicholas Lacar is a shape changer himself. That's the situation.
I'll lean over to them as I'm washing my own hands and, well, I'm surprised he's not changed his own form yet. You know, I mean, now that his daughter's dead, why doesn't he just shape change and go do something else?
These two scantily clad purple Twi'leks look at you with shock and say, What do you mean change his own form? His daughter's dead? Oh, that's terrible news.
Oh, you didn't know that? Oh no, I suppose you didn't.
Whoa, no. Judging by the way he's been talking about it, neither does he. He's been on about it all night. Says that she was kidnapped from Blimp 2 by a human, a Rhodian, and I think he said a Miralannan, of all things.
Right, where is he now?
Well, he's in one of the booths over there. We've been trying our best to cheer him up all night. At which point, her companion, who's even more scantily clad, says, "We've been trying really hard to cheer him up all evening, but he's just not having any of it."
Leave it to me. Point him out to me, and give me a few minutes before you come over.
They look a bit uncertain about this. Obviously, they only just sort of met you, and they were seeing this guy as like their meal ticket. Make me maybe a roll to see how persuasive you are. You could go for charm. You could go for deception.
I think I'll turn on the charm.
Okay, not a problem. So it's difficulty 2.
Oh, Smeg, I did that in general chat, sorry.
It's alright, hold on a second, I'll just go and have a look at it. Okay, so 2 successes and 2 advantages. They seem a little uncertain at first, and then they say, well, since you're a Twi'lek as well, they seem to like relate a bit more to you, and they say, well, I suppose it can't do any harm. It can't make things any worse, really. Yeah, if you come with us, we'll take you to the booth. And then they start leading you out of the latrines. They head past the booth that Crude and Yatu are sat in. So Crude and Yatu, you will see Gribbly with these two purple-skinned, scantily clad Twi'lek women heading out of the latrines and past you guys.
As I pass them, I say, hide your faces.
What?
Okay, at this point, Yatu, can you please make me a stealth roll? The difficulty is only 2. However, you have 2 setback dice since you've just effectively gone, what? Okay, so bizarrely enough, despite the fact you've just shouted, it's obvious that these two women are far too busy concentrating on getting Gribbly to this booth they're going to, and they don't appear to have noticed Yatu shouting. So you just hear Gribbly saying, like, hide your faces, as she heads past with these two women.
Yeah, I think we're probably... Crude, what are we doing in the booth right now? Probably drinking, but what else?
Okay, well, because by that point I would have recovered. So I'd be drinking, I'd be probably probing you for what happened on your little excursion.
Right. So I'm going down the list of like bullet points about my meeting and the planned breakfast or brunch tomorrow. So we're probably doing that, and yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to cut across to Gribbly. Gribbly, you're led to an extremely sort of private booth at the far end of the casino. As you're drawing nearer, you can see a rather stern-looking man with a bit of a sort of 5 o'clock shadow. He's wearing a pristine white uniform and has sort of like salt and pepper, grey, close-cropped hair. He's got quite a sort of like a miserable or stern expression on his face. He's sat with his arms folded on the table, and there's an empty glass just next to his arm. He looks up as the three of you, yourself and these two Twi'lek women, approach.
You're Nicholas Lokar, I understand, and I'll usher the girls away as I sit down.
He says, well, that's what it says on my Imperial identification chart. And who might you be?
The question I have first is, are you the original or the shape changer?
What are you talking about, woman?
The original, then.
Well, yes. I'm Nicholas Lokar, Grand Master of the Imperial Training Academy. Surely you recognise me?
No. So, I understand that you're looking for your daughter.
His shoulders sag a bit as you say this, and he says, yes, alas, sir, she's my pride and joy. She's all I've got left after her mother passed away. But alas, she was kidnapped by 3 miscreants. I've been trying to track them down ever since, but all of the bounty hunters I've sent and the investigators I've sent have currently turned up nothing.
The 3 miscreants, you say? That doesn't sound right.
Yes, there were 3 of them. There was a young Rhodian, a Miralan, and a human.
No, I'm sorry. What do you know about shape changes?
Well, only what's in the Imperial briefings. I know there are certain species who are capable of altering their form to one degree or another. But I don't really see what bearing that has on the situation.
The creature that left with the Rhodian and so forth, I came across them myself on my freighter.
As you say that, he leans forward looking a bit more interested. He says, and where did you encounter these miscreants? What system were you in?
I give the name of whatever system I was in last.
Yeah, that's fine.
I was responding to a distress call. Their ship had some kind of fluffy things on board, this pestilent things. What are they called? Remind me.
Lakari beetles?
Them, yes.
Yes, they have been a problem throughout the sectors recently.
Very, very big nuisance. Anyway, that's when I met what I originally understood was your daughter.
What do you mean you understood was my daughter? You know where Irene is?
No. Irene introduced herself to me. She was on board with the Rhodian and so forth. But it wasn't Irene. It was a shape changer.
Okay, at this point, can you please make me a deception roll? The difficulty is only 1 because you're telling mostly the truth. Okay, yeah, you got him hooked into your story, and he says, go on.
Well, it wasn't your daughter. It was a shape changer, as I say. I'm sure the shape changer knows what happened to your daughter. I jumped to the conclusion that the shape changer had probably killed her, but of course that might not be what happened. I'm afraid, not knowing at the time that you were looking for her and that she was such a highly priced asset, I'm afraid I didn't probe with too many questions.
As you suggest that his daughter might have been killed with his shape, you notice he's like gripping the edge of the table like very tightly. You see like his knuckles have gone white.
So I think you're looking for the wrong people.
But it seems clear to me that I need to find these people who took the shape changer, interrogate them, and find out what they know, see if they can lead me to my actual daughter. She must still be out there somewhere, assuming she's not dead already.
I could tell you where I dropped the shape changer off.
Go on.
I mean, it wouldn't take much to lose some money.
Are you asking me for some sort of bribe?
Not a bribe, no. I'm asking you to pay for information. It's a fair thing, right? I mean, I have information that you want, and I'm perfectly happy to give it to you for its face value.
And what would you want for this information?
Well, let's say 1,000 credits.
1,000 credits for information that may not even be accurate.
I'll give you the docking bay.
Very well, 1,000 credits is piffling little to me. Give me this information and I will give you your 1,000 credits. You have my word.
Okay, and I'm going to give him the planet I met everyone on that had the races. And I'm going to give him that and a docking bay that was whatever, was it, I don't know, 15.
Absolutely fine. Okay, as you finish giving that information, he takes out a credit chit and he sort of slides it across the table towards you. He keeps his hand on it, and when you reach out for it, he says, "Bear in mind, should you have played me false and this information not be accurate, you will live to regret it."
I seem to remember there were some races on at the time. What do they call them? Pod races or something. No, it was definitely that planet.
Well, let's hope for your sake that this information is accurate. And he takes his hand off the credit chit.
I'll grab it. I hope you find her. It's not right if a family is separated. And I walk away.
He seems to soften a bit when you say that, and as you walk away, taking this 1,000 credits with you, you just hear him say, "Thank you." Then these two Twi'lek women move in and start fussing over him and laughing and giggling, etc. as you head away from the booth. Are you rejoining your two companions?
No, I'm worried I'd draw attention to them, so I'm going to head back to the ship.
Okay, not a problem. You make your way back to the ship. Okay, so Crude and Yatu, you've been talking about Yatu's adventures when you notice Gribbly leave a sort of private booth at the far end of the casino and then just leaves the building entirely.
Okay, well, I suppose that's going to make things a little bit easier. At least you're safe.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you want to do until the morning?
Well, we've drunk ourselves silly. We've almost died by putting ourselves in a watery capsule. We could play some more sabacc.
I want to go fight a squid.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that. But isn't that on a different island?
I would, John. I'm going to like the bar, and I'm going to grill the barkeep about razor squids.
Okay, as you're heading to the bar, can you please make me a stealth roll? It's an opposed roll. The difficulty is 3 red and 1 purple.
Sorry, that was 2 red and 1 purple.
3 red and 1 purple.
3 red. Right.
Okay, so you start heading over to the bar. You're sort of still jigging about a bit from the effects of this drug that's coursing through your system. You get about halfway to the bar when suddenly from this booth that you're passing, you hear this voice say, "You there! Stop!" And as you turn round, you see Nicholas Lacar pushing these like 2 Twi'lek women off him and like standing up in this booth as he's obviously spotted you walking across the bar.
So I do, and I turn towards him, I spread my hands, and go, "Hey, you!"
Obviously, Crude, from where you're sitting, you can see this going on as well.
Wait.
It's at that moment I get on the communicator and say, "Get your asses out the bar one by one."
Why did he show up? Shit!
Yeah, listen, love to stay and chat, but I'm gonna go down to the docks. I think they have squids for me to fight there, so.
He slams a hand down on the table and says, "You're not going anywhere, Miralan, until you tell me what happened to my beautiful daughter."
Yeah, not much into humans, so bye! And I'm going to try and like speed walk away.
Okay. At this point, he is effectively just going to try and like grab your head and like mash it into the table.
Right.
Okay, so you effectively trying to power walk away. That will be an opposed athletics roll. The difficulty will be set by his sort of brawl, effectively. So it's going to be... It is going to be a difficulty of 2 red. Okay, so Crude, where you're stood, you hear Nicholas and Lakar say, "You're not going anywhere until you tell me what happened to my beautiful daughter." At which point Yatu is like, "Oh, sorry about that, bye," and turns around to leave. And as he's turning round, with like remarkable speed for someone of his age, Nicholas Lakar just like spins Yatu round, like grabs his head and just like, slams it into the table. You take 1 wound, ignoring armor, Yatu.
Right.
Okay, in that case, I'm gonna try and rush round in order to get hold of this guy and essentially throw him back. So a bit like what he did to Yatu, but in reverse, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So the difficulty for you to do that will be... Are you trying to damage him or are you just trying to restrain him?
Damage him, but not lethally.
Okay, in which case it'll effectively be an attack roll. It'll be a difficulty of 3 purple.
GG.
Okay, as you sort of head over, he spots you coming and steps around, so he's on the other side of Yatu, still with like one hand on the back of Yatu's head. You're obviously not near enough now. You'd have to like lean over Yatu, and you've not got much chance of sort of wrestling him at this range. He's obviously deliberately put Yatu between you and him.
Okay, in that case, I hold up my hands and say, "Now look, we don't need to do anything stupid. It's not what it sounds like. You don't know the whole story."
I am a sanctioned Imperial officer, a Grand Master of the Imperial Academy. Tell me, why should I not take 2 kidnappers and robbers like yourselves who have a huge bounty on each of your heads and turn you into the authorities right now?
Well, I could strut around saying I'm a fucking awesome pilot. I'm just saying.
He is out.
Nicholas Lockhart doesn't take like his hand off like Yatu's head, and he says, "And if the Emperor ratified that you were an amazing pilot, as you put it, then I might believe you. My reputation is secured by my years of service to the Empire."
Your daughter wanted to come with us.
My daughter would never agree to go with such miscreants as yourself.
Well, then you didn't know her very well. She was bored. We didn't kidnap her, as you seem to be insinuating. We just let her come.
Well, if that's the case, tell me where she is.
Well, come on, man. I can show you.
He takes his hand off the back of your head, Yatu.
Thank you. Okay, so
Take me to my daughter now.
right.
Seriously, guys, why aren't you at the bar yet? I think I met that Nicholas Lockhart guy you told me about. He's in the bar.
Probably like pick up a communicator. Now you go.
I just sort of give the comlink the most dry look ever, and I don't even care if she can't see it. And then I just sort of shake my head and put it away.
Well, what are you waiting for? Take me to my daughter. And I warn you, if you cross me in this, I'll make you rue the day you were ever born.
Right. No need for the threats, Mr. Empire.
It's not a threat.
It obviously is.
It's a promise.
I'll have you know I fought an Ukbat ice worm barehanded.
And I helped you escape from it.
So there's that. I didn't escape though.
Yes, that must have been terribly impressive. You're lucky there weren't any tables on this ice world of yours.
I would start leading Mr. Grandmaster over here to the ship, just huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
As you're leading him out, he sort of places a hand to his ear and then says, "This is Grandmaster Lacar. Send a squad of troopers to my location."
It doesn't matter whether you send a squad of troopers to your location. Either way, you're not going to like what you're going to see.
Well, if I find out you've been in any way involved in inflicting harm on my daughter, it's not myself you need to worry about.
We haven't. We're all very concerned by what has happened to her, but it was nothing to do with ourselves.
Well, lead on then.
I guess.
Yeah, I would. When we're walking there, I would get on the comms and like desperately try to tell Gribbly that we are being detained.
And meanwhile, oh, go on, sorry.
No, you can go. You can go.
Well, I was just going to say, and meanwhile, I'm racking my brains to think what could have killed her. You know, like think of a different situation.
Come on, I've stood outside the casino waiting for you to come. Now, where are you?
So I turn on a comlink and go, "So, Mr. Lokar, isn't it fine to get reunited with your daughter at the ship that is at the dock?"
Why are you speaking in that strange manner?
I think I ate something bad. It's a bare minimum effort of lying.
Yeah, that's fine. And you lead him to the ship. You're met by a squad of Imperial soldiers on the way there.
Are we talking Storm or regular army guys?
Just regular army guys.
Whew. Okay, so very poorly coded message to Gribbly that we are going to the docks with Lokar in tow. And once we get there, I will, of course, lead Lokar to the improvised icebox where the body is.
Okay, so Gribbly, as you've made it back to the ship, you see Yatu and Crude approaching. They have Nicholas Lacar with them, and they also have a squad of 5 what appear to be Imperial soldiers wearing the standard grey jumpsuits. They're not stormtroopers, they're just normal soldiers.
No. There were smuggling compartments in here, right? I know there were. Yes, they're there.
Yep.
There. Yes, they're right behind.
That's absolutely fine. I won't ask you to make a roll because then they're not looking for you or smuggled goods. Okay, so Yatu and Crude, you lead Nicholas and his soldiers on board the Night Dragon.
Yeah, and on to the cargo space with where our guns used to be and aren't anymore, which is good because we will get fucked. Right, so there's this like dingy off-white freezer with a couple of extra power cells like duct taped to the side.
Indeed, as you head in, your improvised refrigeration device is there. There's the deactivated droid Vinny sort of lying next to it over the top of a few crates. And you lead Nicholas in. He says, "Well then, what is it you have to show me?"
Now listen, Mr. Grandmaster, sir. So there was a person that at the moment when we lifted off of Blimp 2 looked like your daughter.
Yes, the Twi'lek woman I spoke to a short while ago told me about this.
Yes, and she was on board because she was bunking up with an associate of ours who was bunking it up with her in this very cargo space when we took off. It was unintentional, but we lifted off with a person who appeared to be your daughter. And fast forward, we had a problem with Lokari beetles, and we flushed the oxygen to get rid of the bugs. So that happened, and the person who seems to be your daughter apparently was not, because they also died because they were hiding in like the bulkheads when we flushed the oxygen, and then I popped the lid on the freezer, and I just gesture at the thing that is still like I just put it there and never touched it again. So it's the corpse of the shapeshifter still dressed up in whatever they were dressed up in when they died.
Indeed, as you open the refrigeration unit, there's like the sort of hiss of steam coming out of it, and there's this curled up sort of frozen corpse of this reptilian shape changer, still wearing the same clothes that Irene Lacar was wearing, sort of in a fetal position, curled up, frozen in the refrigerator. Nicholas Lacar looks down and frowns and says, "Well, those are certainly Irene's clothes."
So I think either you are a lizard person, or this is not your daughter and your daughter is somewhere else, and please don't shoot us.
He looks at you and says, "You should consider yourself very fortunate that I'm not having you arrested at this moment in time. It's only because I'm more concerned for the safety of my daughter. So if you have any other information you think might be relevant, I suggest you divulge it now."
I look at Yatu, since he's doing quite well at this point.
Well, we think maybe your daughter has been displaced. We don't know when. We were going to bring the matter to your attention last time we were on Blimp, but other things came up, so it never happened. But we meant to talk about this before, and we meant to offer our services maybe to find out what happened. But we don't know much more. We haven't had a chance to look it up yet. We were, hopefully you understand, we kind of very reserved about approaching the subject with you because of,
I assume you mean because of the love I have for my daughter.
Yeah.
Yes, that thing.
Very well. Thank you for providing me with this information. I will renew my search for my daughter. I assume you're claiming that you haven't actually encountered her, only this thing.
Yes, that's who I was referring to, but with the clothes, I was worried you would think that was her to begin with. And like I said, you didn't know the whole story.
Well, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'm going to return to the academy and begin my search anew. Thank you. And he turns and starts walking out.
Thank you, sir.
When he's out of earshot, I let out just a massive exhale.
And once he's off, sorry, I'll imagine. So how much do you get off it?
Okay.
1,000.
However, before this happens, he gets to the sort of like the door as he's just like walking down the off ramp off the ship. He turns to the soldiers who are behind him and says, "These people are Imperial criminals. Arrest them." And then he walks off.
No, that was not part of your decision making, sir.
He just continues walking away as these soldiers start drawing their weapons.
Fuck you. And I get my weapon out as well.
I guess I'll stay in the hidey hole for now and let these two deal with it.
That is absolutely fine. Okay then, guys, we'll be going on to initiative. So in case you guys can't remember how to do that, it's exclamation mark INIT space roll space and then your sort of dice identifiers.
Dice identifiers.
Yeah, you know, like Y and G, etc. for whatever dice you're rolling.
Which skill was initiative again?
Wasn't it cool?
Yes, it is cool, yeah, because you're aware of shit going down, basically.
Oh, I've got the PC bit.
So what did you say?
I forgot to type the PC bit. And I think Becky did that as well. So you type PC after the dice.
Do you?
Apparently so.
I think you just type in it to roll. I think you only just typed roll.
Well, I tried that, but it said no character type defined. So then I put PC and it worked.
All right, okay, cool. Still getting used to the initiative commands myself. They're a bit massive.
Yeah, they're a bit weird.
Okay, so I'll make a roll for them.
You're in the general chat, by the way.
Oh crap! Okay.
That'd explain why it's not showing up on the initiative order.
Les Fouques.
Okay, so in the first round of initiative is going for the Imperial soldiers and their riot guns that they're effectively drawing. Obviously, you're not actually there, Gribbly. It's good you've rolled initiative in case you want to get involved, but at the minute you're not in the sort of combat area. You're in your sort of smuggler's hidey hole, so they're not going to be able to shoot at you, obviously. However, they are going to take shots at Crude and Yatu, so I'll just roll for one each of them. So this is the one against Yatu. Okay, so Yatu, you are hit for 9 strain damage as one of these soldiers fires a riot gun and there's a poof as a bolt of blue energy hits you.
And I presume soak applies?
Yep.
Right, so that's half of my strain.
Okay, so you're sort of wobbling quite precariously. I'm going to roll for the one who's attempting to shoot at Crude. Okay, Crude, you are also hit by a stun blast. It's 7 strain damage minus whatever your soak is. And like I say, it's strain rather than wounds because it's stun damage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got a player slot. Who wants to go first?
I would probably be inclined to go first, considering this is my ship and there are people on it that I don't want to be on it.
Go for it.
Okay, so after kind of trying to brace myself against the wall but still get hit by a blast, so what I'll do is I'll turn around and say, "You toilet heads aren't welcome here," and I get my DL-18 and aim and try and fire as much as possible at them.
Okay, that's fine. Make your shooting roll. It's difficulty 2.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
Dang. Woo. Okay, so since you've got a triumph, Now, you've not got to, even with the Triumph, you've not going to take out all 5 of these guys. However, if you wish, you can take out up to a maximum of 3 of these soldiers. And I'm going to leave it entirely to you how that round plays out. You've got carte blanche to sort of describe how it goes down.
Yeah. So I start shooting at one of them, and I do it sort of in the chest area because it's an easier target. And they go down in sort of general Star Wars fashion. They tumble off the ramp. But then I realize these fuckers are on my ship, and this is my baby. And I actually get really, like, quite vengeful and lots of raging going on. So I'm just firing as much as possible, and my gun's almost to the point of overheating, but I really don't care. I'm just firing as much as possible and just taking them down like pins in a bowling alley sort of thing.
Okay, and that's exactly what happens. Yatu, you're quite surprised. In fact, at first you think, oh, it might just be the drugs that you've been taking, as Crude takes out one of these soldiers and then just goes into some sort of like berserker frenzy, rapidly firing into like 2 of the other soldiers and like taking them down. You can see like the actual sort of ammunition part of Crude's gun, like the power cell, is like heating up and it's actually like glowing red. He's firing that quickly.
Yeah, so I'm probably on my ass because they shot me pretty hard with the stun gun. So I'm probably just getting up and just like my jaw is just hanging open. I'm on drugs and I'm watching a fireworks display.
Okay, that's fine. You obviously don't have to use like an initiative slot to do that, so that's absolutely fine. So Gribbly, do you want to take an initiative slot?
Or do you want to hide?
Are you there, Gribbly?
Calling Gribbly.
Oh, sorry, I just did my entire answer to that without the push to talk button pressed.
Oops.
So I'll just say no.
Okay, so nothing's going on that initiative round. Assuming like neither Yatu or Gribbly are going to do anything else, I'll advance it onto the next round.
Okay.
Okay, so the remaining 2 soldiers are both going to shoot at you, Crude, since Yatu's like lying on the deck and doesn't have any much threat whatsoever, whereas you've turned into some sort of like Star Wars Rambo and have just like mowed down 3 of their mates.
Well, I'm quite possessive of my ship.
Okay, so the first one has done you 8 points of strain damage minus your soak.
Okay, remind me what happens when you just go down to 0 with strain.
You pass out.
In that case, I pass out.
Okay, so the other one, instead of shooting, sort of moves over to Crude and starts to pick him up, basically. So Yatu, as you're lying on the deck, you see like Crude like poof, poof, takes 2 of these like stun blasters, slides to the deck, and one of these guys starts picking him up.
Right. I believe we have one Destiny chit, which I will use as I dig into my tool belt and bring out one of my trademark ding stun grenades and just chuck it at these guys.
Okay, make your roll. It's difficulty 2. Okay, are you sort of getting out of the room before you lob the stun grenade in? Because obviously in the room you're in at the minute, if you're like close, you'll be affected by it as well.
Am I still like super speeding?
Oh yeah, you're still buzzing.
Yeah, so probably, yeah. Run away, chuck it behind me.
You could quite easily roll into one of the adjoining chambers and just like lob it in as you do so.
Yeah, like roll into like a cleaning closet and lob it in there.
Okay, yeah, you roll into this cleaning closet, throw this improvised stun grenade out, slam the door. There's a poof, and the door's like buffeted in your hand as you're sort of bracing it shut. Then a few seconds later, there's just silence.
Yeah, so I very like timidly open the door a bit and lean out to see if anyone's still standing.
Okay, you look out and you can see the still unconscious form of Krug with like these two Imperial soldiers slumped over the top of him.
Okay, so I'm gonna very quickly run up to the nearest console that would show like who's on board, so that I can ping like life forms if there's anyone else here.
Okay, not a problem. Make me a computer's roll difficulty 2. Okay, your life form ping is only showing the two soldiers, Crude, and yourself on board. However, you do know that the sensors don't normally, if you just run a standard scan, pick up like the smugglers' compartments. I mean, they're shielded smugglers' compartments.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna close the ramp while I'm at it.
Okay, that's fine.
And how do stims work? Can you restore strain with them?
I don't know for certain, but I don't see why not, to be perfectly honest. So at the minute, I'm just going to say if you use a stim, it restores like 5 strain as well, if you wish.
Yeah.
You can choose to do strain or wounds. It's up to you.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens is I close the ramp and I dig up Crude from under the two unconscious soldiers, and I jab a stim into his neck.
That will instantly wake you up, Crude, and restore 5 strain.
Okay. Oh, I feel weird.
Yeah, it's the best, isn't it?
So I look around. Presumably, I'm safe at this point.
It would appear so. There's 2 unconscious Imperial soldiers and yourself and Yatu, and that appears to be the only people who are on here. You can see the ramp on the ship has been shut.
Okay. In that case, my eyes are incredibly wide, like more than usual, and I just look around these unconscious bodies and say to Yatu, "Whoa! What did you do?"
It's the stims, man. We gotta get some more. Woo!
Yeah.
Completely like oblivious to the fact that we're probably gonna get swamped by some reinforcements any minute now. Right. So where's Gribbly? We need to do something about Imperials over here.
Shit, yeah, she said that we should get back on the ship, but we are on the ship. Where's my comm? And I sort of fumble around for the comm, probably on the floor somewhere. And I just pick it up and say, Gribbly, where the fuck are you?
Have you dealt with him? How much did you take from him? How much did you get?
What? Who? We're on the ship.
Yeah, but you were talking to Nicholas Loca. How much did you get from him?
He tried to arrest us. What are you talking about?
I thought you were supposed to be a criminal or something.
Gribbly, can you make me a perception roll difficulty 2, please? as you're having this conversation, from your pocket you can hear a very faint beep, beep, beep.
Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna stamp. I bust out of the smuggling compartment. It's a bit cramped, and I will smash the credit stick.
Okay, as you like pull the credit stick out of your pocket, and as you quite rightly assume that is what's making the beep, you see there's like a red light flashing on it. Now, obviously, Crude and Yatu, you see Gribbly just like bust out of this smuggling compartment, clattering about, holding this credit chit up that's glowing. Well, sort of, it's got this like pulsating red light on it. Now, Yatu, you've dealt with a fair amount of explosives, it's safe to say. You know an explosive when you see one, and you recognise the symbol of like the light flashing quicker and quicker.
And well, Gribbly was going to smash it, or did I understand correctly?
Yeah, Gribbly's like throwing it down and like raising a foot to stamp on it.
Yeah. So, still like drugged out of my mind, I start doing the whole like slow motion charge towards Gribbly with the intent to like restrain her from just blowing us all up.
Okay, so Gribbly, as you're about to stamp on this, credit chit, Gribbly, you see like Yatu like, no.
He's obviously just trying to protect the money, so I just have to stamp it and break it before he gets here.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So now we're going to come down to an opposed roll. So can you tell me what your athletics score is, Gribbly?
At 1 green, I really am not athletic.
Okay, so Yatu, you need to make me an athletics roll with a difficulty of 1 purple. Okay, that's absolutely fine. So Yatu, you've made it to like Gribbly before she can stamp on the credit chip. What are you going to do?
Shit. Would it be too much of a stretch to say that we have like an empty crate from the blaster sale? Like an empty crate that they use to store the blasters?
If you want to spend a destiny point, I'll say you can have one conveniently to hand.
Right, so we don't have any of those. So what happens is I take a split second to see if there is a crate, and there isn't. So what happens is I push Gribbly so that she like stamps next to the thing.
Okay.
Grab the stick, and I'm gonna run to the ramp and just like when you are trying to summon an elevator and you wish it would go forward the more you push the button. So I'm doing that with the ramp. I'm trying to get the ramp to lower, and I'm holding the explosive in my hand.
Okay, so this is going to be an athletics roll, difficulty 3. One of them is red.
See ya.
Okay, so Yatu, you've just about made it to the door. You're sort of frantically pressing the button to put the ramp down, like probably wishing you hadn't like put the ramp up now. And it seems to, in your drug-addled state, the ramp seems to be like slow motion, like, and you're like, come on, as you're holding this thing. The ramp finally gets down. You raise your hand back, ready to throw this explosive device, and just as it's leaving your hand, you see this red light flash once, and you know you've not got enough time to get out of the blast range. Then there's a poof, and your vision goes entirely white for a few moments. You take 8 wounds of damage, ignoring armor because it was effectively like right close to you.
I've got 4 left and half of my strain, so I'm in a bad way.
Okay, so you guys see Yatu at the doorway just about to throw this explosive out. It goes off and literally like blows him back into the ship. He hits the wall behind you guys and slides down it. There's like wisps of smoke coming out of his clothing. Parts of his skin are scorched.
I'm going to go to the ramp and press the close button.
Yep, fine, the ramp slide shut.
You really did screw up my score.
I'm just like lying face down on the ground, not moving, just smoking.
I'm starting to get worried feelings about my loft cat, and I get up and start sort of feeling around the corridor, just calling out his name.
At first you don't hear anything, then a few moments later in one of like the air vents you hear a meow.
Okay, good, you're still here. Gribbly, you close the door, I'll take off. But I'm blatantly kind of quite out of it.
I think you should let me fly. We'll get up to space and then I'll check you guys over. Okay?
No, it's good. I've done this loads of times. And this
I'm
is
just
really
going to
easy.
give you a
It's like
little
big
shot
world
here.
wonder.
Just going to give you this little shot from the med kit. It'll make it easier for you to fly, okay? It will knock him out.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, if you say so, but I really don't need it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Crude a shot of something that just means I don't have to deal with the crazy person for the moment.
That's fine. You trank Crude absolutely fine. So pretty much the only one who's really conscious, fully on board the ship, is yourself now, Gribbly.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna take us up into orbit so that I can start dealing with these guys with the medicine kit and sort it all out without stormtroopers busting in.
That's absolutely fine. You're just flying up into orbit. You don't need to make a roll or anything for that. It takes probably maybe 15 minutes, because obviously you don't want to go too quickly to arouse suspicion, but sort of 15-20 minutes later you're just outside the atmosphere of Coles 2. You can see black space out the viewport, and you head back down to your companions, presumably.
Yeah, and I take to them with the med kit, basically just try and patch them back up and get them stable.
That's not a problem. Make your medicine roll. Okay, so was that for Crude or for Yatu?
I'll do Crude first, then Yatu, but I think Crude was worse, wasn't he?
Okay, cute.
Okay, you have regained 3 wounds, Crude, and you've recovered your strain.
And then afterwards, that's for Yatu.
And Yatu, likewise, you've recovered 3 wounds and your strain.
Right.
So this is probably taking like a couple of hours to do all of this. So like 2.5 hours later, Crude and Yatu, you're still feeling a bit tender and a bit sore, but Gribbly's made you comfortable and you're all sat round in the ship.
You guys trashed my score.
Oh god, so much pain in my head. What score?
I took him for 1,000 credits, and you made him detonate the cred chip.
I don't think a standard issue Imperial cred stick is built to explode.
No, it's not, and I certainly didn't do that. Oh god.
Well, we need to drop off a few bodies.
Yes, we do.
Oh,
That's fine. If you want to just flush the bodies into space, that's not a problem.
Might as well. Might as well.
I mean, they're still conscious, so
They are technically still alive.
yeah.
Yeah, well, they won't be for long.
they're in spacesuits, they'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll possibly freeze before they suffocate.
or they'll burn up in the atmosphere.
Maybe.
Okay, so are you guys flushing the 2 soldiers?
Oh, yes.
I
Okay,
guess.
not a problem.
Yeah.
You flush them out of the ship, and a few minutes after they leave, they are indeed pulled into the atmosphere of Coles 2, and you see these 2 flares as they burn up, entering the atmosphere.
I like to think of this being like a metaphorical scene where our the last dregs of our conscience our conscience is burnt away.
Indeed, I think this would be the point where you're all sort of looking out of the view screen and you see these 2 pinpricks of light flare up as you've just murdered these people, death by atmosphere, effectively. And this would be when the sort of the sad music would be sort of playing in the background.
A great victory for the rebellion.
Yeah, so there's Gribbly being all triumphant, and then Yatu and Crude kind of something just broke inside.
Okay, so what's the plan now, guys?
Oh well, we have the brunch to go to tomorrow.
Yes, we do. Why are we in space? We need to land this thing again.
Yeah, I have that sorted out. We have the safe bay for now. I made a deal, and we'll make another one at the brunch with my good friend Barabbas.
Barabbas?
Yeah, the one I told you about that.
Oh, yeah, I remember,
The thing.
Yeah. He sounds a bit, he's not Hut, is he?
No, Quarren.
Okay, that's, I suppose, a bit better. But yeah, we need to land, and I start marching over to the cockpit.
Yeah, I give the directions to whatever place that Barabbas operates. We're going there, as per the agreement.
Okay, so as you guys are bringing the ship back in, who would be operating the sensors?
Oh.
Ooh, I want to say that's Gribbly because she used to be a communications person, so probably her.
I was just in the bathroom, so I missed that. Sorry.
But basically, I was just asking who was operating the sensors as they were taking the ship back down to the planet, and it's been suggested that perhaps Gribbly might be the one to be on the sensors.
I guess.
Okay, well, as you're taking the ship back down to the planet, on your sensors, Gribbly, you're picking up an Imperial shuttle leaving the planet. It's not heading towards you, it's just leaving the planet.
Yeah, now I've got a feeling I know where that's going, and I want to do it harm. Guys?
What?
It's a bit of a long shot, but there's a chance that this blip on the big screen here, I think that's Nicholas Lockhart. It's just a chance. And I think he might be going back to the place where I met you.
To Ukbat?
Why would he be going there?
Just in case I was telling the truth, which I wasn't.
Wait, you told him that his daughter was on Ukbat?
I needed a planet name quickly.
Ukbat is where we...
So either he's going to die a really horrible death, or he's going to make it back here and try and find you.
Well, my thinking is there's lots of rebels on the planet, and we need to make sure that the rebels capture him.
Well, they could do, but how do we know that they want to do that?
His head of a training academy, right? If the rebels got to him, they would remove a senior Imperial staff person. It's got to be totally in their interest. It'll work, trust me.
Did you give them some kind of warning that he was going there?
Good idea.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Now, since you're trying to send effectively like a long-range communication, this will be a computer's roll, Gribbly. It's difficulty 3.
Do we have any destiny dice?
I believe you have 1.
We do,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Is anybody any good with computers?
I'm
No.
fairly good, but my history with computers roles has been terrible.
I can do it. It's just I'm not great.
Well, I can help, probably.
Yeah, if you're assisting Yatu, you can grant a boost dice.
You're in general chat, by the way.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So I'm helping, so add in a boost there.
What was it? 3 difficulty.
That's correct.
Fuck, wow.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you have managed to get a signal through to the rebels. The computer screen in front of you sort of like lights up, and you see this Syrian, his large sort of domed cranium, wearing sort of brown clothes on it. You know him to be Del Carrot, who is a Syrian diplomat who like works with the Rebel Alliance. He looks quite sleepy. I mean, there must be a time difference between where you are and where he is. And he says, "Yes, what is it?"
High priority message. Code Alpha Blue for the rebels. Senior Imperial Training Academy Loyal Grandmaster Nicholas Lokar is on his way to Utpa in, we believe, an Imperial shuttle. End transmission.
He opens his mouth as though to start saying something, and then you're like, "End transmission," and just like cut off the transmission.
Yeah, and the whole time I made sure my face wasn't on any kind of video camera.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so you've got your message through.
So, should we go and make sure, or do we just let that happen?
Make sure what?
That he doesn't leave good power.
It's a bit of a way back there. At this point, I'd rather not.
Well, he's out of the way for a while.
There's this negotiation, really, that we need to sort out first.
Where... Hang on. Meta knowledge. Do I know about the bounties? I don't think I do I?
No.
Deal. Great. Sounds great. Let's go.
Okay. So as you guys start taking the Night Dragon back down to Coles 2, heading towards the secure landing site that has been pointed out to you by Yatu, the end credit music starts to play, and as you bring the ship in and land it back on the surface of this floating coral city in this secluded landing bay, that is where we're going to end the session for this evening. Thank you very much for playing, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the session.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
I briefly had money. Thank you.
Well, if it's any consolation, you all gain the princely sum of 20 XP.
Woo!
Woo!
Okay, and as ever, I'm happy to chat for a bit, guys, but I'm going to end the recording now.